Hi everyone, it's Alan Lepofsky here from Constellation Research, and the big question of the day has been everyone getting in touch with me about this possible rumor around an acquisition of enterprise group messaging vendor Slack by Amazon or the Amazon Web Services division. So let's talk about this just for a quick minute here. So the first thing we have to establish is sort of what market is it that Slack even plays in. So at Constellation, we have created short lists around enterprise group messaging. And while there's a dozen or 20 or more vendors in this space, we've been primarily looking at the following six. We look at Slack and HipChat, which is by Atlassian. We look at FlowDoc and Glip, which is owned by RingCentral, Hibox and Zinc, which used to be Cotap, but there's literally dozens of others in this space as well. So Slack sort of plays in this standalone group messaging market. There's also group messaging products that are part of sort of a larger unified communication package. So we look at things like Cisco Spark really dominating in that space, Unify Circuit, RingCentral that I mentioned earlier, and then Alcatel, Avaya, and BroadSoft. Traditional unified communication vendors that are really trying to get into that collaboration space. Now, add to that confusion, obviously, products such as Microsoft Teams, the product that they're bringing out that sort of unifies Skype and OneNote and OneDrive and Planner and all of these things to create a group messaging client. You have Google, which is creating two new versions of Hangouts. There's Google Hangout Meet, which is sort of their web conferencing, and Google Hangout Chat, which is very much like a Slack-like group messaging client. So both of those will be coming up later this year. Facebook is in this market as well with Workplace by Facebook, and also IBM with their Watson Workspace initiative. So there's lots of things in this space, this sort of new breed of collaboration products, kind of moving beyond blogs and wikis and communities, more towards group messaging and file sharing and video sort of all combined. So what is Amazon doing in this space, and why would Amazon be interested in Slack? Well, first of all, let's point out that Amazon actually already has a product of their own in this space called Chime. Now, Chime is very much focused on sort of that online meeting experience. At the moment, a little less sort of chat. So it's sort of, getting people together, doing video conferencing. It does have chat. So perhaps Chime kind of competes with the new generation of online web conferencing services like Zoom or Join Me or Uber Conference. There's a whole bunch of different things in this space. But let's also not forget that Amazon also has Workmail. So they've got an enterprise messaging environment. And they have Amazon Workdocs, a file sharing service. And finally, sort of rounding out the Amazon environment, they actually earlier this year acquired one of my favorite companies, Do.com, which is all focused around the meeting experience. So planning for a meeting, creating the agenda, creating follow-ups, etc. So why would Amazon be interested in looking at Slack? Well, Slack with their 6 or 7 million daily active users, has primarily been focused in a technical space. Now, of course, there's lots of other use cases. There are many great client customer reference stories, but for the most part, you still hear about Slack a lot in that technical sort of developer environment, which is obviously a strength of the Amazon Web Services environment. So if Amazon's wanting to expand out into a larger enterprise environment, getting a hold of developers inside each of these organizations and then spanning out from there makes a lot of sense. So, could they bring together Slack with their Workdocs product, with their email product? Could they combine it to create a new web conferencing experience? I think there'd be a lot of work that has to be done there. Slack already on their own is working on being sort of a hub of information where you can bring together content from different sources, different enterprise tools, CRM systems, ERP systems, support desk systems. So the streams in Slack aren't just about chatting and instant messaging and web conferencing. It's really about sort of focusing on enterprise business, and maybe that's sort of the angle that Amazon wants to go at. So anyway, a very complicated market. There's lots of things in group messaging. There's lots of things in web conferencing. There's lots of things in file sharing. All of these worlds are sort of coming together. It'll be interesting to see if Amazon and Slack make a good combination sort of for that technical, and developer audience, expanding out to get more things like sales and marketing and finance from there. Let's stay tuned and see how this story develops. So this is Alan Lepofsky from Constellation Research. If you have any questions or any thoughts, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you. Bye.